So you're starting a new account on Instagram, or you've already started your account, but you've basically opened it to crickets, nobody's interested, or you're just ready to make this year the year you absolutely crush it and you are successful on Instagram. Whatever your reason may be, we in our agency have started a ton of accounts to what we would say is success in the last 8+ years that we've been managing and opening social media accounts. Even actually technically before that, because when we were employed and we were marketers at companies, we were starting accounts, going from sometimes 0 to 100,000 followers or more. And a lot of the principles stay the same, but there are a lot of new things that have changed. And it's beneficial for you now to be watching this video because you can learn from all the mistakes that everybody has made from channels like ours and bypass all of that and skip the line so that you're better off. Now, of course, this is going to be work, okay? So nothing's going to happen in 0 seconds. But if we were starting an Instagram account from scratch, there are principles that we would apply that we're going to break down for you today. And I want to say, in this period of time where things are super weird and people are losing their jobs, there's the recession, all of these things looming, if you are making the decision to double down on yourself, congratulations to you, and you still have the opportunity to succeed. So if people tell you that Instagram is dying, whatever, blah, blah, it's not, for now, the case. People are still finding success every single day and launching new businesses on the platform. So you can win on this platform and you will win on this platform. So keep that affirmation going, all right? So I'm going to meet up with Craig. We're going to get some coffee and we're going to talk through our best tips for how you can start your Instagram account from scratch. And that is actually the kettle. So let's get started. Okay, so what do you think the first thing people should be thinking about before they thank you, even really start their account, or if they're looking to revisit their approach to their account?
Definitely. Yeah. The most important thing is to, or at least the first thing to do, is decide who you want to show up as and what value you want to contribute. Your Instagram account is its own sort of world, and every social media account that you have, it's probably going to have a different intention. So what are you trying to do here?
What do you want to achieve?
Yeah, what do you want?
You know what's funny? We were having this conversation yesterday. Remember we were talking about that people are doing things without actually an end goal in mind?
Yes.
So it's just pointless.
Everything.
All right, I want to get followers, but why do you want to get followers? What's the purpose of that? Or I want to do X, Y, Z, but why? And that's the number one thing. What do you want to achieve? So I don't know, just remind me of that conversation because we went into a deep hole about it.
We did last
night. Which if we ever have a podcast, this podcast would be 3 hours long. It'll be great. But sorry, continue on.
No, it's a really good point, and that's really what it is. A lot of people are doing it just to do it because you think, I don't know, everyone else is doing it. I guess I have to be on Instagram too. But what are you going to get out of it? If you're going to invest time, energy, resources into doing this, you have to have some sort of a plan. So, you might want it to be your Ecamm, another sort of asset aside from your website. So if you're selling products on a website, you can do that via Instagram, and you can optimize your Instagram so that it makes it very easy for people to be able to shop from you, whether it's via IG shops, whether it's via the link in your bio with lots of CTAs and frictionless, you hit it once, go straight to the site, and then people can buy immediately. Whatever it is, you need to just decide on that. And of course, we say this all the time, there's the value side of it, which probably trumps
You need to provide value.
Otherwise, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it needs to be educational, entertaining, and I always forget the last
Inspirational.
one. Inspirational. I always think it's informational, but that's the same as educational. I can't get out of it every single time.
Yeah.
Either way, it's very important, those three things. So you need to sort of consider holistically what you're doing on Instagram, what your brand represents, what you stand for. Who do you want to attract? Who do you think will come to your page? And that will all depend on the type of content that you're creating and how often you show up and what you're delivering to them. If you're just selling to them and with no value, they're probably not going to stick around because no one really needs to follow a brand that's just going to sell to them unless you buy regularly from that brand. So all of this is the foundation for your Instagram account, starting a fresh year, or even if it's mid-year and you're seeing this video in June or something and you're refreshing your accounts, that's where you need to begin.
The next thing you'll need to do when you're looking to start your Instagram account or restart your Instagram account is zero in very clearly on your audience. So we know who our audience is. We speak to business owners, social media marketers, and creators. We actually used to start an intro like that every single time, but we're trying to make the intro shorter, so we skipped that part, okay? Yeah. That's a YouTube tip that we can talk about at a later time. But it is so important for you to have a clear look and clear understanding of who your audience is, so that when you're creating the valuable content that we're talking about, you're creating it specifically for them so that they engage with it, and that interaction and those engagements will help you rank higher because they're like, this is for me. I'm in the 100% the right place that I need to be. So you do that through competitor research by actually looking at not only competitors but adjacent brands. So even if you were a cafe, but in the end there's like a cool bean company, look, just coffee analogies. There's a cool bean company that you know, who's a cool roaster, bean company. A cool roaster who you know would, you didn't even correct me, you're just like beans, lentils. But yeah, a cool roastery somewhere that you know has the same audience as you. That's the type of research that you're going to want to do. What type of content are they interacting in? What are they having fun with? This is going to help you when we're talking down the line a bit further into your content planning, because you'll know what they like, what they respond to, what's working well for your competitors, and what's not working well for your competitors. And that's why the niche conversation is important, because you need some form of guardrails as to what content you're going to put out. Because if you don't have a niche, then you're putting everything out and the algorithm won't be able to understand who to serve you to. So maybe after you've had that niche, you've established the audience, you can start kind of branching out a little bit more once you've built that relationship. But in the beginning, it's going to be super, super important that you have a niche, you have your audience down, and you're only creating content for them. When you appeal to everybody, you end up appealing to nobody. So just focus on that person. And for us, we told you who our audience is, but then that opens us up to kind of talking about entrepreneurship, because not only are we social media marketers, we're agency owners, we're business owners, we have other businesses as well. That even gets you to maybe even talking about HelloFresh one day when you're making a meal in the kitchen, because it's built within your full brand and it's built within the niche and you know it'll make sense. But we would never start an account and my first post would be me cooking in the kitchen with HelloFresh.
Not in this niche,
it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. So that's why you build that audience, you build those relationships, and then you start understanding more and more about what they're interested in. But it all comes with knowing your audience first.
The next tip is to decide on your handle or username. Now, even if you've already started your account, you can change your handle or username. And I believe we've said this on multiple occasions, but it does bear repeating because we see it all the time. The consistency of your handles and with your web domain is so important. As you hear at the end of our videos, we're like, follow us everywhere at High Season Co, because it's highseasonco.com. The email addresses are at High Season Co. Every single social media, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that is all High Season Co. Everything, even here on YouTube. So keeping the handles consistent is just, it makes your life easier, and it makes the life of your potential clients or customers easier, because they don't have to even figure out how to try and find you. It's not high_season.co on one and High Season Co.
1988.
Yeah,
sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're just adding other things, and I understand that it's difficult sometimes. But when we came up with this name, we were like, "Oh, we need something else." Because High Season was taken everywhere by, of course, people who weren't using it for the most part.
Always, it's always that way.
It happens to half the people. Yeah. So we were like, "All right, well, we need something else." So it is a bit of a challenge, but it's worth spending a little bit of time on, and it's not expensive. It's just a matter of research. Like you can just actually check a website if it works. And then, High Season was taken. So what if we had Co? We'd seen people use Co before. So we added co.com. Oh, that doesn't exist. All right, cool. Let's check Instagram. Oh, it's not there. So on and so forth. And once we got them all, we're like, let's go. That one made sense for us. So very important. It's kind of very foundational, 101, but it's going to make everything else a lot easier.
And avoid all the underscores, like Craig was saying. The underscores, the periods, the 3 underscores, or the long. Make it easy. Make it easy and make it make sense, so that when people were typing it in, even if they didn't know your username, it would come up because they were looking for your company, and it's clear that that's your company.
Yeah, 100%.
The next thing you want to consider when you're looking to open or refresh your Instagram account is to set up a professional account. So it should not be a personal account. That means you're actually setting up the account as a professional in the settings. And the reason that you're going to want to do that is because if you're taking your account seriously, you need to have access to the insights and all the options and the features that the professional accounts provide that the regular personal accounts don't. So that's like the call to action buttons, the insights I mentioned, which are super, super key. And then when we think about whether or not you should have a business account or a creator account, one thing we will say is have the account that makes sense for what you're doing on there, whether you're a business or creator. However, a bit of a pro tip is that the creator accounts are the ones that get the trending music, where business accounts don't, unless you specifically title yourself as an entrepreneur. So that becomes really complicated and weird to have if you're not an entrepreneur and you're an actual business, because then it gets labeled there and you have to take the label off. It becomes too complicated. Yeah. So I would say consider a creator account if you want to access trending audio, and we all want to access trending audio because that's what helps us increase our reach with Instagram Reels. So that should be a big consideration into that question. And then another question we get often around this is, should I have a separate personal account? My feeling, and I feel like you would agree here too, is that yes, you should. The worst thing that you can do to your business account is start posting random things that have nothing to do with your account at all, just you picking your kids up from school on an account where people are going to try to get value from or some level of entertainment. So if there are things that you're so burning for you that you want to post on Instagram, leave that for your personal account with your friends, but your professional account needs to be optimized consistently with the content that's going to attract the audience, keep the audience, and let the Instagram algorithm know who you are so they can help you find a new audience. So that is the summary of that question, because that's something we get really, really often.
Okay, next up, profile optimization. We have done multiple videos just about this, but this is something that obviously matters to your success on Instagram, and it really does have an impact. So first thing, I was about to point, I'm sitting on the opposite side.
I don't even know.
So I think the videos are up there.
Yeah, the card is probably up there.
The card will be up there for other video that just talks about this, but we also have a link in the description of our Instagram checklist, which you can follow to make sure it's totally free, and you can make sure that you're doing all the right things in your profile. So I'll do a quick summary of it. Now, of course, you've got your, you need to clean, clear, attention-grabbing profile image and high res as always. Your name in bold there is SEO friendly, so whatever you put in there can be searched. What does ours say?
High Season Co. Social Media Agency.
There we go. So it's got the name in case people search for the name, because people are familiar with us on YouTube. So if they come to Instagram to find us, if they don't already realize it's High Season Co., it'll, you could search for social media agency and will likely come up pretty high in that search because of that. In the bio itself, you're going to need a solid, at least a one-liner, or what we typically like to do is have the emoji bullet points of what the account is about. Like, what are you? We're a social media agency that does this, and this. You might be a store, an online store that sells this, and this. Whatever it is that you're doing, make it abundantly clear. If people come to your account and they have to wonder what your account's about, they're not going to stick around. You've pretty much already lost them.
Yeah, it used to be cute to be mysterious, but it's not. That's not a look
personal
anymore.
Account, cool.
Let people know what you're about. Yeah, it was like a cool branding thing, and it's like, no, they need to know that they're in the right place. And that one-liner, as you mentioned, that says it. Like, we serve X people by doing X. Keep it straightforward. Exactly,
and give as much or as little information as people need to understand what it is that you do. So in our recent video about features, and I just sort of realized I think it's over there, is the above Tiff's head is the card. That video where we talked about new Instagram features, we talked about some accounts now have been rolled out to already, but have multiple links in the bio. I know my personal account has 2, but it's Facebook. Like, you can only show your Facebook and it's already linked, and then something else. So I use Linktree. So, make sure that the link in the bio, whether it goes direct to your website or whether you have Linktree, we would typically suggest some sort of a Linktree-like service that would, like a social landing page, so that people can go to multiple things from one tap. That is super key. So just having that profile optimized. And then the final thing, of course, is your stories, highlights. If you've got anything, like if you got a menu, if you're a restaurant, make your menu in the highlights so people can see it. Put photos of the food. That's the one thing when we're going on like Uber Eats or whatever.
Yeah.
And if they don't have photos of the food and they don't really know what the dish could look like, it turns us off even
100%.
Roll on the dice.
And I would love to add another part there. Pinned post now. So take advantage of that new feature. And when we're going to get into what you would do when you're first starting your account, Pin key posts. So you're going to do a set amount to get yourself launched, but the one that's the explainer video or the wrap up of your menu or anything that you know is really going to drive what we talked about again, the objective that you have, those are the posts that you're going to want to pin, and you can pin up to 3 posts at a time.
Super key. So that's really the profile optimization. So make sure you cover that. Once again, this is all pretty foundational, but it's going to make a difference as you move into the more complicated stuff.
It's like building a house. The foundation is super key if you want to have a steady, sturdy, long-lasting home. So after you've gone through and really set that foundation that we're talking about, your Instagram profiles pop in, you know who you are, who you plan to serve, and you started researching your competitors so you have an idea of who your audience is, you're going to want to start talking about content, the main thing. So what you're going to be putting out there for everybody to see. And before you even get to that, you need to have content pillars or content categories developed. And that means that all the pieces of content that you create are going to ladder up to these pillars. They're always going to match the things that you said that you're going to talk about because that's what your niche is about.
Yes.
So for us, for example, ours is business education, business inspiration, and social media marketing. So you're watching this, that's social media marketing. We're giving you tips, and that's one of the pieces of content that is under that pillar is that we serve tips. The other thing is business inspiration. So you might see a beautiful quote of us doing something fun, or like us just inspiring business owners, or we might just straight up be giving you business education tips. So, like we could bring a tax planner on, for example, and it would make sense because we went through this. So how to plan your taxes, how to blah, blah, blah. Anything that has to do with business would make sense under that. So that's what you should have too. So whatever your niche is, you're going to create content pillars underneath that. And every time you create content, it's going to ladder up to that pillar. And if it doesn't ladder up to that pillar, it doesn't make sense and you shouldn't be posting it. And then when we think about the content pillars, then we start moving into the content types. So what types of content are we going to use? Is that going to be an Instagram reel? Use reels. Make sure that in that reels are part of your strategy. That's just no question about it. That's just the day that we're in. Is it going to be reels? Is it going to be carousels? Are they going to just be images? How is the content ideas that I have going to come to life? And that's where the content types come in. So with that, something you need to think about are the tools that are at your disposal, and we're going to get into content creation in a bit, in order to know what you're going to be able to create, so that way when you're ideating, it makes sense. And again, if you are watching this video and you actually did start your post, but you need a refresh, you actually have insights that you can use to let you know what your best types of content are that you should post. And if you don't have that, because it's actually starting from scratch, use your competitor knowledge and those in your industry to kind of inform what your content's going to look like.
And then you want to talk about your posting frequency. So how often are you going to post? This is something that is pretty important to figure out from the beginning, because you don't want to be inconsistent, and that consistency is very important. So if you're every day for the first 2 weeks, then you disappear for 2 months and then just post one time, that's not good. It's not telling the algorithm that you're going to be there regularly, and it's not telling your followers and your audience that, hey, you can rely on me. This is going to be someone who's going to turn up regularly. So commit to something that you can actually fulfill from the beginning. So if you know, and it's almost better to under
promise yourself.
Under promise.
Yeah.
So,
over deliver.
Exactly. So if you're like, I'm going to aim for 2 posts a week, because I think I could probably do that. Maybe I could probably get 3, and then you can bust out a third if you ever get it around to it, or if it works for you. Maybe you'll get into a rhythm because you go into, when we talk about content creation and batch creating and planning ahead, then you probably will be able to, because you have enough content because you planned ahead for that. And then the next part of that is hashtags. So we did a video a little while ago, back up there. Now I'm getting used to it.
Now you're getting used to it, yeah.
And, we sort of found through our research from one particular client and from other sort of more qualitative experiments that closer to 30 hashtags performed much better than the 3 to 5 that Instagram suggested that we use. So we stick with that. We suggest you do the same thing. Test it out on your account. How many hashtags work the best? Try different ones. Have different batches of hashtags for every different content pillar. So for all the different ones, you want to make sure you have these different hashtags so that they are specific and you're not just being general, and it's putting the right type of content on the right type of hashtag to enhance the searchability for everybody there.
And a pro tip with that is to leave those 30 hashtags in your notes app and have them exactly placed as the content pillars that you have, so you can just copy and paste easily. And if you actually end up using one of the softwares like a Later, they will have those hashtag banks in there for you easily that you can save. I think Unum, which is the visual planner that we use, that allows you to do that as well.
Yes.
Now, if we've saying all these things to you and it's feeling overwhelming, because we do understand that it can feel that way, we actually just launched our first suite of digital products.
Woo!
I'm waiting for Dan to put some confetti or something like that. And this suite of products are the same products that we use in our business. There are some that are a bit more intensive and some that are a bit more chill. You'll see them all up there, but in there we do have a content planner, one that is super clean and super easy for you to lay out all your content so that you know what you're distributing, when you're distributing it, and also if it fits into your content pillars, you'll easily be able to see that there. We also have all the social media holidays outlined for this year for you in there as well. So if you are interested in checking that out, I'm sure we popped some screenshots on here, but if you do want to learn more about that, you can head over to our shop on our website at highseasonco.com/shop. And then let's get into the other part. Content creation.
Yes.
So when we were talking about the tools, this is the biggest part of this. So once you've decided on your content plan, you need to understand what your arsenal is, so what you're going to be using.
Yes.
So when we talk about that, if graphics and design are part of your inspirational content, for example, or you want to make carousels so they're part of your educational content, you have to have the right tools. So we did do a video right here that will pop up so you can watch about our favorite tools for growing on Instagram and actually managing and creating on Instagram. But we will say Canva, she is a beauty. We've used her forever. We pay for the pro plan. We think it's amazing.
Yes.
And we definitely recommend that you look into Canva for creating. The templates are stunning. Designers who, I'm just joking. Love you, designers. I'm just kidding. But for the people who can't afford a designer at the time, Canva is amazing for that.
Yeah.
Another tool that you want to be considering are what you're going to be using to film your content.
Yep.
So we actually did a video on that too. Look at us, so efficient.
Yeah.
So we did a video on our favorite content creation tools, but overall what we'll say with that, when you're thinking about tools and equipment that you'll need, all you need is your smartphone.
At this point.
You don't need more than a smartphone. So don't get so overwhelmed. You don't need, we're filming on a Fuji camera. We love it. We think it's amazing. It's in the description box below if you want to learn more about it. It's the Fuji X-T4. I'm in love with it. I'm obsessed with what it does. But we could do a lot of the same content, especially when we're just talking about Instagram, we're just talking about social, with our phones. Like any iPhone that you have or any Android that you have, I can't say what the Android model is, but anything over an iPhone 11, you're going to be sweet. Yeah. We film for clients on iPhone 11s when we need to, because they all shoot in a high enough resolution, and I believe in 4K.
At the very least, this is the 12 we're about to upgrade.
The 12 is in 4K without question.
And that's 4K. So like, if you got the newest one,
you're sweet. You're definitely going to be sweet. And then the other thing that you're going to need is natural light. So all you need is that smartphone, a natural light, and you are good to go to create the content you need to thrive, because it's not going to matter as much of what it looks like. What matters more is what you're offering and the value, again, that you're providing. That's what people are going to be more interested in, and that's what's going to keep them coming back. And then you're going to do what the most important thing is, which is get over yourself, okay? Get over any of your fears and anxieties of how you're showing up on camera, and you are going to film, okay? And this is something that even with one of our clients, it's always the big topic of conversation. We're always our biggest critic in the end, right? You look great. You're shining. You're beautiful. You're awesome. You have value, and you should show it. And video is a really great way to do that. So do that. That's the biggest part of it that I want people to understand and take away and get over. And with that, then you're going to create and batch your first set of posts.
Yes.
So that is 12 posts that we're recommending that you create and batch. And maybe you can go over kind of like that quick batching process.
So if you planned, you could actually use our brand new digital products and use one of the documents, and you can plan out the topic. So we have the more in-depth spreadsheet that we created that we use in-house right now with our clients, where you could put, there's one tab where you can put all of the topics. So you don't have to put captions or anything, but just the topics. So you already know what it is. So that is enough to get you like, all right, you can map out your first 12 posts, as Tiff just said, and then you can go and create them. And what we would suggest is that you put aside, 1, 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever it might be to take you to do it. Everyone's different and depends on how complex the content is.
Yeah.
And then just do it all at once. The hardest part is that when you get up and you're like, it's Tuesday. I need to post today. Yeah. I got nothing. I haven't taken a photo. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. But if you do all of the things that we've talked about right now, from the very beginning, as much as planning out your content pillars and all those different things, when it gets to mapping out the actual topics you're going to talk about, it's super easy because you're basing those on the content pillars or categories. And then when it comes to batching, now you've got all your topics, and you can, if you're talking to the camera or if you're making things on Canva, if it's a graphics based thing, if it's a bunch of photos, it makes your life so much easier to have it all done in one place, so you can keep all of the information in one sheet, and then you can just go ahead and create. And we've found that to be the most, by far, like leaps and bounds, the most efficient way to approach content creation for social media. And what do you do once you've created them? You got to schedule them. So that is obviously very, very important. Now, we mentioned in the Instagram features video that I talked about earlier that some accounts have an inbuilt scheduling function now, which is pretty cool within Instagram. So that might be slowly rolling out across the world or all the different accounts. A lot of other platforms, I know Facebook definitely has the Meta Business Suite, so you can use that to schedule. So that's if you wanted to use it native. If you wanted to sort of go beyond that, Tiff mentioned Later.
Later, Planoli, we use Sprout Social. All of those are fantastic.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ones. So you can go and find the one that works for you, that has the financially has the best pricing, that makes the most sense based on the features that it gives you, but scheduling everything out so that you don't have to worry about actually every single day, now I've got to post. You would batch schedule, so everything's already done. You'd batch write the captions and then batch schedule. So, and
everything I just want to say that we're talking about, if you're like Later, all of this stuff, we're going to put it in the description, so you'll have it there and you can easily click through and see what's going on. For everything that we talk about or recommend, it's usually in our description.
Yes, exactly. So all of those things are really important. It's like the sort of the three-pronged batching attack, from the creation, the captions, to the scheduling.
Exactly.
And that'll make your life so much easier. So then you can really focus on the next level, which would be, I don't know if that's the scope of this video, but community management, like talking to your followers and to your audience, ads and all those type of things to continue to grow it. But
so this video is pretty long already as it is. We just wanted you to be set up. So this is like the foundational, as we said, what we would do if we were starting from scratch. The next video that we're going to drop is going to be speaking about post optimization. So what do you do to, once you've set yourself up to success, continue that momentum? So how are you going to continue to succeed? What are the tactics that you're going to implement in order to make sure each post that you have has its maximum reach? So with these 12 posts that we talked about, remember those are foundational posts. So don't expect that you're posting it and immediately it's going to have a ton of likes. That's not the point. The point is that you're telling the algorithm who you are, so you're feeding the algorithm with information, and then you're also letting your audience know what to expect from you so that they know to follow you. That's also the reason why you have 12 posts there, because if you just have one, you start interacting, you start doing all these things, people are going to come, there's going to be one post, there's no reason for them to follow you. You want to make sure that everything is there and kind of laid out, and the story is starting to like be out there and distributed, and you're also starting to get data. So in the next video, we'll talk about post optimization. We'll talk about exactly what you should do to succeed on Instagram. And if you do have any questions related to anything we mentioned today, so any of the basic tips or any of the product questions that you have, please feel free to ask us in the comments below. Anything else you think that's important for the people to know? Just get out there and do it. Get started and do it properly. And if you follow these tips, it's really not that difficult, because doing it encompasses all the things we're talking about. So it's just, instead of just doing it and maybe not doing it right, do it right from the beginning, and you're going to have a much better experience, and your business is going to thrive because of this community that you're going to be creating online. Exactly. All right, y'all. So if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe below, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other videos from us. Thank you so much for watching. Again, you can check out our products at highseasonco.com/shop, and we will see you in the next video. Peace. Oh, and while you're here, before you head out, check out this video, or wherever it ends up being. We think you'll enjoy it, and we think it'll be super valuable to you. We'll see you in the next video. Peace. Bye.